Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Tech Visionary interview. This time we are fortunate to have Eduardo joined us for this chat, and he's a Microsoft Regional Director and MVP. And I would just say, welcome, Eduardo.
Hi, Reza. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for your time. Can you introduce yourself a little bit? What is your background? What do you do normally?
Okay, my background is in computer science. That's my first studies in the at the university, and I have been always focused on technology. But also, I have some business administration background. I hold a PhD in economics. So I always try to mix some of the technological topics, but with some business point of view. Because sometimes during my work, we do consulting, and some of the consulting are general managers. So we need to be able to express our technical concepts, but from the business perspective. So we need to find some balance. Usually, we do consulting for large corporations. Yeah. And basically, our in my job, we focus on handling data. That's our main focus. Yeah. We give
Great.
consulting on data.
That's fantastic. Thank you for the introduction. So considering things that you do already, like dealing with data science, with data analytics, which is kind of related to the topic we are going to discuss today, which is data analytics and business transformation, how they work with each other. Uh, why, or let's say, how this analytics can be important with the business transformation?
Yeah, it's important right now. Data is more important than ever for organizations. Basically, because right now organizations are facing a challenge. The challenge is to deliver digital assets and digital uh, options to know their customer. They need to lead the customers and increase the demand. And right now, the customers of the different companies are requiring personalized, relevant content and deliver, especially depending on the segment. So that's really, really important right now.
Great, thank you. And how this impacts, let's say, the whole culture, let's say, inside the organization between the customers, if we bring data analytics into that experience.
Yeah, right now, data analytics is a really main topic for organizations. Especially, I remember a study from MIT, and that study from MIT says that if your company uses data analytics in a proper way, your profit can increase by 25%. Also, the revenue increases by 9%. And for some other companies, I remember the market valuation of the companies that are using data analytics on daily basis increases by 12%. So that's why data analytics is a very hot topic right now for the different companies because there's value there, not only for
That
the customers, but for the company itself.
that's great to know. How do you see that these changes would come along? Well, let's say if there's a company who haven't really considered data analytics, or they are not spending that much on their digital transformation, how they can move into this space.
Okay, if your company has not begun using data analytics, well, this is a good start to start right now. But I'm mentioning here a study from MIT too that says that 80% of the companies that are successful using data analytics, they begin with a strategy. If they don't have a clear strategy of what they want to achieve using data analytics, they will fail. 80% of the companies that have a clear data analytics strategy success in this implementation. So if your company has not begun using data analytics, the first step is to stop a little bit and then create a strategy. After that strategy is written down, then you can start exploring some technological options to implement that.
Great. That's a good point to think about the strategy in advance. How do you see like different strategies? Like when we start thinking about this, like is a strategy more about like growth? Is it a strategy more about like the customer engagement experience that would become better using data analytics? Is it related to something else? What type of things should let's say business owners or decision makers should think about to define that strategy, let's say?
Okay, we think that to start thinking about the strategy, you have to cover three pillars. The first pillar is how you are going to enhance customer experience, because you need to give better experience to their customers. Then you need to think about your operational process. How are you going to optimize your process internally so you can deliver a better user experience? And then you need to think about the business model. How your business model is going to be changed using data analytics. For example, I mentioned before, if you are going to explore the data segmentation for the customers, how are you going to change your business model based on the analytics or the results of the analysis of the information that you already have?
Great. And how do you see the operational process affected by all this, let's say, data analytics and business transformation?
Okay, for the operational process, first, you need to think about how are you going to use, for example, different technologies that are right now available, and how are you going to transform your experiences. For example, some insurance firms are analyzing all the process of acquiring an insurance, and then using analytics, they can improve the process. How can they improve the process? Well, they can reduce the steps that are required. They can use automatic robotic or RPA to speed up the process for the customer. So that's the way that some companies can start using data analytics.
Great. And I believe they should have some methods of measuring it afterwards as well to check how did they perform. Like before implementing like data analytics, this is how their customers, let's say, reacted. After that, this is how they reacted. Is this also like measuring it, checking, putting some KPIs around it? Is this also part of the process?
Yes, part of the process is that the company first need to do an assessment. For example, you need to measure how are your currently handling data, how are the perception of the customers, and then you know your current situation. You establish a strategy to start using data analytics to improve your customer experience or your processes. And with that current state, you start implementing the data analytics strategy. And when that data analytics strategy gets your first results, you compare and you measure your company again. So you can measure, for example, how efficient are the processes. What about the turnover of the customers? Is the customer of the churn of the customers? Did we reduce the churn? or the churn is increasing. How can we measure that? And then you compare those states, and if you get a good result, so you are doing good. But if the result is not improving, so you need to get back again to your strategy. Maybe you need to change your focus, you need to change your objectives, so you can adjust your strategy. It's like applying the agile to the implementation of data analytics. You don't spend 2 years doing a data analytics project just to find out at the end that your strategy was wrong. You need to fail first or fail fast. So that's why we usually recommend to the customers, okay, do an initial assessment. We establish quick wins. For example, a project of 3-4 months before. Then we measure again. And then we measure and we see if there's improvement of the customer experience or improvements in the processes.
Great. One thing I liked most in your explanation was the process of like not waiting for 2 years to see what happens, having like some short milestones along the way. How businesses can make sure that this would happen? Is that part of defining their data analytics strategy that let's say, let's review it in 3 months, in 2 months, like let's say in 6 months? How would you decide about that?
Usually, first we start with a strategy that we deliver goals every 3 months to do the evaluations of if the goals are being met that we established during the strategy. And also, if you are going to introduce technology, for example, if you are going to introduce sentiment analytics or customer segmentation with machine learning, we do proof of concepts. So within 2 or 3 weeks, we test the technology before doing the whole deploy. And usually we test different technologies, different vendors, because usually the companies are not using only one vendor, there are multi-vendor. So we do the proof of concept with different vendors, and we choose the one that is better for the company.
Great. Thank you for all the explanation. So based on what we have discussed here, I reckon like defining the strategy is quite important, defining the current status, the future status, the path that we are going to take through that, having like milestones and KPIs to measure what we have done in those milestones. These are all important factors of a data analytics let's say good data analytics implementation in a business transformation. What do you think would be the reasons that data analytics might fail? You already mentioned one, which might be not having the strategy. What are other reasons you think a project like this might fail?
Okay, first you mentioned there if you don't have a clear strategy, you will fail. And the second one is that if you are beginning to use, or if you begin to use the technology just because you like the technology. Yeah, if you are a technical person and you go to a conference and you will see, oh, here's this great AI solution, great AI framework, and then you start implementing something there. But you never ask business, what about the business objective? How can I apply analytics to solve a business problem? If you don't do that, probably your project will fail or will not scale. It will be a very good test of the technology, but it will not accepted by the business. And one of the success factors of the data analytics is that the business part of the unit start using analytics to do decisions, to be part of the process on the daily basis. If not, it will be just a really good test of the technology.
Great, thank you. That was a really good point, to choose the tool based on the job you are doing, not to choose tool first and then decide what type of things you can do based on that. Awesome. Thank you
Yes,
for
yes,
all. Thank you for
yes.
that
I
information.
remember that.
Yeah. Uh, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't asked about in this topic?
Well, the only finally that we must recommend to the different technical person and business persons to be up to date with different conference. For example, right now the Microsoft Ignite has just finished a week ago, so it's very good that people, when they have time, maybe they can take a look of at the keynotes replay, and they learn about what is the trends in the technology, and also search for the success cases, so they can look, for example, for uh, business cases that have been implemented with that technology in government or insurance or health, and then you can get ideas on how you can implement that technology in your own company.
That is definitely a great recommendation, and I really like the keynote of Ignite showing like how things connected to each other and built like a big overall picture. Highly recommended everyone to watch it. Thank you again for your time. What is the best way for our audience to get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Okay, they can go to LinkedIn. They can write me, send me an email there, or if they want, they can contact me using YouTube. Usually, in my YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos, and when everybody or when someone writes a comment, I go immediately to respond there.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching us. This was really a pleasure to have you again. Until next time, stay safe. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.